Let's go through these. So we have a problem that all of these are tasks, and we want them to be commands. So we'll go over here and build it. And unfortunately, the type mismatch that we're going to get here, although it is correctly telling us that these don't line up, the particular thing that it's complaining about is not giving us a super great clue as to what the real problem is here. What it's complaining about is the sort of the preliminary problem that it encounters, which is to say that these are all different types that are all in a list literal. So the problem that it's complaining about is like, hey, the second element is a task that returns, an HTTP error, but a list of comments. But the next task in the list has a different success type. So it's complaining about something that is sort of unrelated to what we want. What we actually care about is the fact that, but we're passing this whole list of alleged commands to command.batch, but they're not commands, they're tasks. Nevertheless, this does give us at least the information that we need to figure out where to get started. So what it's telling us is that the first element has the type task HTTP error article full, and the second one has the type task HTTP error list comment. So based on that, we can see, well, clearly this is not going to unify with never. Both of these can potentially have HTTP errors, which is to say that we're not going to be able to use task.perform with either of these. We're going to have to use task.attempt. So if we look at the docs for task.attempt, it's going to tell us that we need to provide a message that accounts for the two possible outcomes, one that it succeeds and the other that it fails. In order to do that, it's going to have them wrapped in a result, which means that when we want to call task.attempt, we're going to have to give it a message that has a result that handles the HTTP error for the error case, and then for the success case, whatever the particular thing is that each of these tasks produces when it succeeds. So to figure that out, we're going to go take a look at our message type, and we're going to look for something that lines up with these. We're going to look for something that is a message that holds onto a result of HTTP error and list comment, and that's going to be we want for the second one, and then for the first one, we're going to want HTTP error and article full. So let's see if we got anything in here. We'll go shopping for messages and see if we spot anything that looks good. So here's something that looks pretty good. Completed load article. It's got exactly the type we want. Result HTTP.error, article full. So we're going to try that out as our type for the first thing. Task.attempt, completed load article. And for the second one, this is the list of comments. That's got same thing, but HTTP error is going to be paired with list comment instead. So see if we can see anything in there. And sure enough, the next one is completed load comments. So we're going to do that over here. Task.attempt, completed load comments. Okay, now let's see what it complains about. Okay, now we see a new error. So it's still complaining about the list being incongruous, about the elements having different types. But this time it's saying, hey, the problem now is that this third one is a task that produces no errors. Interesting, interesting. And the previous ones are all commands, which is now true because we made those both go into commands. Since this one is producing a task that cannot possibly have an error, we can safely use task.perform on it. What are we going to pass to task.perform? Well, it doesn't expect a result because there's no possibility that it could fail. So we're really just looking for something that accepts a time.zone value inside our message. So we go shopping for one of those, and here we go, got time zone, time.zone. Fair enough. Okay. Last but not least, we see slow threshold is a task that takes a task with actually, not only does it have no error type, but also on success it produces a unit, which is to say, nothing of any use whatsoever. But we want to convert it into a message. So for that one, we can definitely safely use task.perform. And what we're going to look for is a message that takes a unit and then returns a message. So let's see if we have anything like that. We actually don't. We don't have any of these that fit that exact description. What we do have is this thing whose name matches what we want, the past slow load threshold. But I think quite reasonably, this doesn't hold on to a unit because the unit doesn't tell us any information. It just says, this is a message with no additional information in it. We passed the slow load threshold. That happened. I have no further information to give you about what happened. It's just we did it. So the way we can handle that is we can, rather than passing in the variant function like we did in all the other cases, we can just pass in an anonymous function that says just always return past slow load threshold. Or if we want to get a little bit more explicit, we can do this, which essentially says, I am not only ignoring this, but I am pattern matching on it and saying it has to be unit, which is to say it has to be this value with no meaning. This is similar to when we, a couple exercises ago, did preview as in the pattern match to say, I know that this is exactly what this is. It is definitely something that has no information. Also, I think quite important to note is that this thing right here looks like a dude doing like a karate kind of motion, so that's pretty cool. Questions about all of these? Oh yeah, let's confirm they actually compile. They do.